It's my distinct pleasure and honour to ask Dr. Rami Rangers, CPE, the co-chairman of the Conservative Friends of India and Deputy Treasurer of the Conservative Party, to come up and say a few words to welcome you all here today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lord Patel, Home Secretary, the Right Honourable Sajid Javid MP, Your Excellency, Mrs. Ruchi Ghanashyam, the High Commissioner of India, Mr. Charanjit Singh, Deputy High Commissioner of India, the Right Honourable Ian Duncan Smith MP, Honourable Nusrat Ghani MP, Parliamentary Under Secretary of State at the Department of Transport and Assistant Government Whip, 2-in-1. Mr. Paul Scully, MP, Vice Chairman of the Conservative Party and the Vice Chairman of the Conservative Friends of India. Mr. Robert Halford, MP, Dr. Charles Tannock, MEP, they are both two Friends of India. Our patron, Mr. Anil Sharma, Dr. Ravi Gida, Dr. Atul Pathak, OBE, Mr. Rishi Patel, Mr. Anil Kumar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a pleasure for me to welcome you on behalf of the Conservative Friends of India to this special dinner designed to celebrate the special bond between the oldest and the largest democracies of the world. We are indebted to the Home Secretary for finding time out of his incredibly busy diary for this special dinner tonight. Our Home Secretary has declared war on extremism simply because racism can never be tolerated as it destroyed civil society. Besides, no country can move forward while systematically discriminating against any section of her population. The Home Secretary recently made a statement that Britain's diversity is its strength, and I echo his sentiment. We in the Conservative Party accept, respect, and celebrate diversity, and tonight's dinner is a clear proof. I would like to thank the Right Honourable Ian Duncan Smith MP for joining us tonight and also becoming the patron of the Conservative Friends of India. This is on record that it was under IDS's watch that the party became truly inclusive. He started the movement to bring people like us, different color, into the party. Whether he'll be forgiven, that is history to judge. Many of you will recall how we set up the British Asian Conservative Link to engage with the Asian community who felt that the party of their natural values was not taking them seriously. The British Asian Conservative Link organized a record number of events to bring Asian face to face with the Conservative leader in order to change each other's perception. One thought we were a struggling community, the other thought the party is for the rich and the elite. The proof how far the party has come is with the appointment of our own Home Secretary, Sajid Javid. His hard work and dedication has greatly increased the interest of Asian in the Conservative Party. As a result, the party has become stronger and Britain richer. The Conservative Party is the party that celebrates success and talent. And tonight we have with us the first female Muslim minister, the Honourable Nusrat Ghani MP. As you heard, Under Secretary of State. I'm pleased to say Nusrat has also joined the Conservative Friends of India as a patron. Her involvement with the Conservative Friends of India signifies that no matter where we hail from, at the end of the day, what matters is our shared values, conservative values, our shared conservative values. We are honored to welcome the new High Commissioner of India to the United Kingdom, Her Excellency Ruchi Ghanashyam. She brings with her a wealth of experience which will enhance bilateral relationship even further. She is ably supported by her deputy, Mr. Charanjit Singh, and Minister Councillor, Mr. Sameer Jha. Under her, the Indian High Commission has become proactive and provide the highest level of care and service. Now is the time to visit India, as your holiday will start right from the High Commission of India itself. The relationship between the UK and India is a long one, is a very old and long one. Once a colony of the UK, today standing alongside it as equal partner. In fact, it was this colony of United India, which included Bangladesh, Pakistan, which saved Britain twice by sending over 1 million strong soldiers in both the Great Wars and helped preserve the king and empire, as well as the word freedom. This year, the Indian economy is expected to surpass that of Britain and will continue to grow for the foreseeable future simply because India has become a favorite place for foreign investment. India offers a highly motivated and skilled workforce along with a market of 1.3 billion people with a growing middle class. The UK-India alliance will continue to grow even stronger, closer through trade, education, culture, and security issues. This relationship is not only mutually beneficial, but it is also good for the world as a whole. Our relationship with friends always flourish when we share similar values. Both Britain and India are secular democracies with the rule of law at the heart of the government. Bilateral trade between UK and India has grown with pace over the last decade, reaching some 18 billion in 2017. The UK has been the largest G20 investor in India over the last decade, more than any other European country. There are over 270 British companies operating in India, employing nearly 800,000 people. Likewise, over 800 Indian companies now operate in UK, accounting for over 1 million jobs and recording combined revenue of approximately 50 billion. The Conservative Friends of India is proud to be one of the catalysts to develop greater ties between British Indians and the Conservative Party, as well as between India and Britain. I thank you all for joining us tonight to celebrate our special ties, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much.
Could I please ask our patron Nuz Ghani MP, Parliamentary Under-Secretary for the Department of Transport and Assistant Whip for the Treasury, to come and say a few words. Just to let you know, in 2015, Nuz was elected as a Member of Parliament for Wealdon. She's the first female Member of Parliament to hold the seat for Wealdon in East Sussex, winning with the most impressive margin of 61.2% of the votes and increasing her majority to over 23,000. Nuz, yes. Nus also chaired the government's Apprenticeship Diversity Champions Network, working with employers to encourage skills development through apprenticeships of BAME communities. In 2018, she was promoted to the Parliamentary Under-Secretary at the Department of Transport and Assistant Whip at the Treasury. Nus Ghani MP.
Thank you so much for that. Welcome. High Commissioner, Your Excellency, Secretary of State, Lords, ladies and gentlemen, what a splendid evening to celebrate our close relationship with India and also to celebrate Southeast Asian achievements. So I'm delighted to be here. I do want to put on record that I have just been made patron of Conservative Friends of India. Becoming an MP, I'm not sure it deserves a round of applause until you hear the story. Becoming an MP There's only 650 of us in Parliament. It wasn't enough. Like a typical Asian family, I had to be a minister to finally get appointed as a patron. So I welcome the opportunity and I look forward to promoting an even closer relationship. I was asked to say a few words about my job, and then I was asked to say a few words about the Secretary of State. I'll be short on the first and very long on the second. I am indeed responsible for a number of things in the Department for Transport. I cover maritime, which is ports and ships. I cover HS2. I cover buses and taxis and Uber. And I have another fantastic co-minister here. We have Charlotte. So please, Charlotte, please come and stand up and come and join me as well. Charlotte is over at the Lords and covers every single bit of the portfolio over in the Lords, and also covers aviation. So correct. I want to say thank you for all the work that you're duplicating once we've finished with it in the House of Commons. So thank you so much. Thank you.
We do a better job of it.
We will see. We will see. My father said something very interesting to me when I became minister. He remembers carrying me down the steps at Heathrow Airport when we arrived in this country. I wasn't even born here. And I find it remarkable that under the Conservative Party, as a Conservative MP, I am now putting together policy proposals, laying groundwork for infrastructure for future generations of British citizens to be travelling on, whether it's road, rail or port. And that is from someone who wasn't even born in this country. And that, for me, are the basic values of the Conservative Party. It doesn't matter where you come from. It matters to where you're trying to get to and what value you can bring to your party, your constituency and your country. And I'm pleased that I was able to be promoted to a job that has no reflection on my gender, my heritage or my faith. I was asked to say a few words about the Secretary of State. I'm a little bit nervous now because this is being recorded. We often talk about Sajid as someone that's broken glass ceilings. And he has. He is inspiring future generations without even knowing it. Even my daughter knows who you are. But more importantly, you're the only person that my mother can pronounce that sits in the cabinet, Sajid Javid. But it's not about breaking those glass ceilings. It's the fact that Sajid is entering those rooms that would have been previously denied to us. And he's entering those rooms because he's a fantastic minister, but he represents us. So all of your successes make us feel fantastic too, and we're here right behind you. And of course, we want you to succeed even further going forward. My father's name, like Sajid's father's name, is also Abdul. But my father didn't drive a bus. Our upbringings are very similar. We grew up in a household where our parents had a huge amount of grit, a huge amount of determination, which meant that we had the internal strength to become politicians. And that is because everybody in this room that's Asian knows that we are a huge disappointment to our parents. We're not doctors, we're not lawyers, we're engineers, we're just politicians. So Sajid, all we can do is rise to the very top, because being an MP just isn't good enough. You can't even become a patron of the Conservative Friends of India. I could talk about Sajid forever, but I'm worried about how this might reflect everybody else in the room. So I'm delighted to be here to celebrate the success of Asian people, including and especially Sajid, to welcome the High Commissioner, and I look forward to working with the Conservative Friends of India in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nus, for that wonderful speech and reminding us that we stand on the shoulders of giants. And in true Asian style, Sajid, if you'd like to be a patron, I've got a friend who can put in a good word for you. It really is my distinct honour and privilege to ask Ian Duncan-Smith, a Member of Parliament, former Leader of the Party, and the former Secretary of State at the Department of Work and Pensions, to come and address us next. Ian has been a Member of Parliament for over 27 years, and in 1992 was elected as a Member of Parliament for Chingford and represents its successor constituency of Chingford and Wood Green. Ian was educated at Dunchurch College of Management, the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, and the University of Persantureri in Perugia, and the HMS Conway in the Anglesey. In 2001, Ian was elected as leader of the Conservative Party. After stepping down in 2003, he set up the Centre of Social Justice, an independent think tank that is committed to tackling poverty and social breakdown. He has worked tirelessly as chairman of the Centre of Social Justice and until the 2010 general election, where he was appointed as Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. He served in this position until March 2016. Ian remains a Member of Parliament for Chingford and Woodford Green and is hard at work representing his constituents. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I wasn't actually expecting to speak, so I haven't got any written notes, which means I'm going to go on for a hell of a long time because I don't have to stop, because it doesn't say stop here. I used to have to do that when I was a minister, but I'm not a minister anymore, so I'm sorry about this. How long have you got, Sajid? Can I say it's a huge pleasure to be here, privilege to follow Nusrat and to be ahead of Sajid on this particular occasion. I just want to say to you that it's a real privilege to be a patron of this, and it took me a long time to get here, but thanks nonetheless. You see, you have to be leader of the Conservative Party to finish being leader of the Conservative Party, be a cabinet minister, still got some way to go yet, Nusrat, and even my parents don't think I'm a success at all. In fact, my father said when I was a politician, I thought I educated you better than that, which shows you that not everything is great anywhere. Can I say that the pleasure is all mine to be here tonight, because I'd like to think I might have, had things been slightly different, got here under my own steam. I'm the first generation of my family not to be born in the Indian subcontinent for 200 years. So you can see straight away that your loss is your gain, actually, now I come to think of it. I just want to say it's a huge privilege to be here tonight. It's a huge privilege to introduce, well, I hope I'm introducing Sajid, who is a great Home Secretary and is a thoroughly decent human being, which isn't always the case for politicians. It is unusual to find somebody who both has a sense of humour, is a decent man, and is actually doing very well at his department, which is the case of Sajid. It's also a huge privilege to be here tonight because the funny thing about whether you agree with Brexit or you don't agree with Brexit, and I'm not going to bang on about that, I just want to say what we are going to do now, in my humble opinion, is we are going to re-establish links with great friends in places where we should have been linked and been friends and been trading and been cooperating for years. I cannot wait for the moment when India and the United Kingdom are together dominating the world, making the deals, doing all the things we could as good friends with a common language, a common legal system and a total belief in democracy. What more do you want? Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. I think a very common sense of humour. It always is a privilege to hear Ian speak. It's my privilege now to ask Paul Scully MP, another patron of Conservative Friends of India, to come and say a few words. Paul is a Member of Parliament for Sutton and Cheam and has been serving as its Member of Parliament since 2015. He was appointed by the Prime Minister's Trade Envoy to Brunei, Thailand and Burma. Paul also is the party's Vice Chairman for the London region, and prior to being elected as a Member of Parliament, he was his group leader at Sutton Council in 2007. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Lords, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues. It's fantastic to see you here and to be here. After that, when Ian gave that little tour de force and said he hadn't got any notes, I thought I'd better write on the back of my cloakroom ticket. So I've got half a dozen things here. The Indian values are really, really shared by the Conservative Party. We must speak to those values. As I say, it's all about hope, it's all about aspiration, it's all about looking after our families and being self-reliant as well, with a guiding hand from government, but not an overbearing hand from government as well. And let's remember, therefore, as we get back to those domestic issues, we get back to those value issues in moving ahead to the next general election, let's not play chicken when it comes to the European elections that we don't want to be fighting, but we are fighting. Because I know in Sutton, where I'm from, the council there has been Lib Dem for 30 years, and that's because 30 years ago a Conservative council gave the opportunity for people to vote for another party apart from Conservative competence. So we must make sure, as Conservative Friends of India, that we are sharing our values, that we are sharing our aspirations, even in unpopular times, even in unpopular elections, that we can get out there and say why Conservatives will represent you the best way at every single level of government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul, of reminding us of those shared values. And if you haven't, or if you have time later on, please do also Google Centre of Social Justice, and you'll see that there are also some very important shared values. Can I please ask Dr. Ravi Gidda, patron of the Conservative Friends of India, to come up to the stage and introduce the High Commissioner of India, Her Excellency Ruchi Ghanashyam. Thank you.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been given the most privileged job today, and I'm going to be about half an hour, so sorry. Sorry, Mrs. Ruchi Ghanashyam is a career diplomat who joined the Indian services in 1982. Prior to the current assignment as High Commissioner of the UK, she was Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, New Delhi, from April 17 to November 18. In a career spanning nearly 37 years after joining the Indian Foreign Service, Mrs. Ruchi Ghanashyam served in the Embassy of India, Damascus, Kathmandu, Brussels, High Commission of India, Islamabad, and in the Permanent Mission of India in the UN, New York. So you can see she's a well-traveled lady. It goes further. Mrs. Ruchi Ghanashyam was High Commissioner of India in Ghana, concurrently accredited in Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, and Togo. She also served as High Commissioner of India to South Africa with concurrent accreditation to Kingdom of Lesotho. At headquarters, Mrs. Ruchi Ghanashyam served as Director Pakistan, Director CNV Division, and as Joint Secretary and Additional Secretary to the Europe West Division of MEA New Delhi. You can see she also has lots of experience in Africa. High Commissioner Mrs. Ruchi Ghanashyam holds a master's degree in psychology from Bhopal University. She speaks Hindi and English, and High Commissioner Ruchi Ghanashyam is married to Mr. A.R. Ghanashyam, who's a retired IPS officer, and she has 2 sons. So not going long, I present you the High Commissioner.
Thank you so much for that very generous introduction. When you said half an hour, I was a little flabbergasted because I don't think there is enough to talk about me for half an hour. Right Honourable Mr. Sajid Javid, the Home Secretary, Dr. Rami Ranger, Co-Chair of the Conservative Friends of India, patrons of the Conservative Friends of India, Ms. Nusrat Khani, very proud to meet you and very happy to hear your story. Mr. Ian Duncan Smith, I think I'm really intimidated to speak after you. Mr. Paul Scully, very nice to hear your story. All the distinguished Conservative Friends of India, and dear friends and guests present here today. Let me take this opportunity to first and foremost thank the Honourable Home Secretary for sparing his time. I know it's a very busy time for him. These are very busy times for the government. So for him to take out so much time in the evening to be here is very special, and we really appreciate that. I also want to thank the co-chair of the Conservative Friends of India, and all of you who have taken out your time this evening. Lord, there are lords and ladies who I forgot to mention, so before I go back, let me apologize on that score. So all of you who have come here, thank you so much. It really means a lot to see so many friends. I'm not that new in station, but not so old in station that I'm not surprised to see such a big gathering of friends here this evening on such a busy day. We have excellent relations with UK. India and UK are very strong partners. We have multiple facets of this relationship that spans, of course, excellent political relationship, but also very good economic, scientific, technological, defense, and so many other sectors. We have a wonderful relationship between India and the UK. And the Conservative Friends of India have traditionally played a very important role in strengthening this very important relationship and partnership that we have with UK. So I have great pride in being here today, great joy in being here today, to see that so many of you have found the time to come here. Your presence here this evening is a testimony to your commitment to this relationship and your commitment to taking this relationship forward. We have had excellent visits, exchange of visits. In January, in fact, we had a delegation from the Department of Home to discuss the white paper, which was a very special occasion, because I think India was the first country, or maybe the only country, with whom this paper was discussed. So thank you so much, Home Secretary, for that. We have, as our Prime Minister mentioned, a living bridge that connects our two countries. And a lot of that living bridge we see here today, because this living bridge actually consists of the diaspora from India, which adds strength to this partnership between India and the UK. They bring the heritage and the knowledge of India, as well as the commitment to the new home that they have adopted, and bring the two together through the various endeavors that they undertake that benefit both countries. But to this existing living bridge, now we have another bridge that is getting developed, and that's the fintech bridge. It is very nice to see so many Indian experts in fintech, and our Home Secretary comes from the financial background, so it is of great interest to him to know how much work is going on. A new joint working group has been set up. They have come out with many new ideas, and this is one area in which I think India and UK can really work together to take our partnership into the next level of future endeavors. We have an excellent economic relationship. Our trade at the moment in goods is $14.5 billion US, and in services it is $7 billion. That was in 2017. Bilateral investments on both sides are very vibrant. UK is the fourth largest investor in India, with a cumulative investment, as per my figures, of $26 billion till December 2018. India is also the fourth largest investor in the UK, and after having created 105,000 jobs in 2018, Indian companies have emerged as the second largest job creator in the UK. Indian investment in the UK registered a staggering 321% growth. This was the largest investment growth in the UK in 2017-18. So Indian companies have great faith in the prosperity of the UK and the mutual prosperity of India and the UK. Well, let me conclude by just promising the commitment that the High Commission of India has to strengthening the relationship between India and the UK. We are committed to give very good service to anybody who wants to go to India, I am really pleased to hear that your holiday can actually begin at the High Commission itself. We really thank the Conservative Friends of India for this opportunity and for this occasion. Thank you so much.
Could I please ask Dr. Atul Pathak, OBE, Patron of Conservative Friends of India, to come to the stage to introduce the Home Secretary, the Right Honourable Sajid Javid, MP.
Thank you, Reena. Your Excellency, my Lords, Secretary of State, Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see so many of you here tonight. Just a week ago, marked 7 years since Conservative Friends of India was launched by the then Prime Minister, David Cameron. I'm delighted that Friends of India is today being led to greater success by an extremely talented and dedicated duo, our good friends, Zach Goldsmith MP and Dr. Rami Ranger CBE. I have been given the honor of introducing our guest speaker and chief guest, the Right Honourable Sajid Javid, MP, the Home Secretary, and it is a pleasure to do so. Sajid does not need any introduction. Much has been made of his humble beginning, and rightly so. Many of us here tonight will empathize with his family coming to the UK with great ambitions for their children. He has surely fulfilled those ambitions and more. He graduated from university, became a success in the banking industry, and then entered Parliament in 2010. Sajid has been seen as a rising political star ever since. His skills and experience in the financial sector were put to good use almost immediately. He was made Economic Secretary to the Treasury in 2012 after just 2 years in the Commons, and then promoted to Financial Secretary just a year later. His next promotion was even swifter. Just 6 months passed before he was made Cultural Secretary, making him the first MP from the 2010 intake to make it to the Cabinet. Two more jobs followed, with promotions coming at the rate of roughly one a year. That is no mean feat. He served as Business and Energy Secretary and as Communities and Local Government Secretary. And just last year, he was promoted to the Home Secretary. That made him the first ever from an Asian background to serve in one of the great offices of the state. As Home Secretary, Sajid has taken significant strides in reforming his department and making beneficial policy changes. To highlight just a few, he has provided a police funding settlement of nearly £1 billion, which is the largest funding round for the police in a decade. And Sajid, we applaud you for that. He has established a 200 million youth endowment fund to help divert young people at risk of being drawn into a life of crime and violence onto more productive and safer paths. This is the type of project that is particularly close to me, and Sajid, thank you very much for that. And on immigration, he has worked to deliver a system that is both welcoming and also maximizing the benefits of immigration. This took the form of a new skills-based approach, which gives us the control of who comes to our country whilst tailoring it to our present and future economic needs. It is also worth noting that Sajid also introduced new startup and investor visa routes for highly skilled people investing money in the UK. Again, this is something to be applauded. And I can say, all this time in Cabinet, Sajid has been a great friend to this organization and to the British Indian community as a whole. and I think we all are very grateful for that. The rapid rise up the ministerial ladder shows no sign of slowing down, and I'm sure he will, in future, fill one or more of other great offices of state. I think we all hope for that. And so I'm delighted to hand you over to our good friend Sajid Javid, Home Secretary.
Well, thank you very much, Atul, for that. And it's my privilege to follow you and Nusrat, Ian, Paul, and Her Excellency, the High Commissioner. Now, before I begin, I'm sure you'll all join me in congratulating the Duke and Duchess of Sussex on the birth of their son, Archie. Now, of course, Archie isn't the only high-profile arrival that we're here to celebrate this evening, because I'm absolutely delighted to have this opportunity to congratulate Her Excellency Ruchi Ghanashyam on her appointment as High Commissioner. Ruchi Ghanashyam, the new High Commissioner, is a diplomat, as we've heard, of extraordinary experience. As we've heard, she's been serving her country for almost 40 years, and she's held a number of high-profile roles in the international community. She's been a pioneer. For example, I understand she was the first female officer to be posted to Islamabad, and following in the footsteps of Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit to be appointed as the second female High Commissioner to the Court of St. James. What an achievement. And Your Excellency, it's been my honour to meet you this evening, and thank you for being so frank earlier as well. And I'm going to turn to one or two of those things that you mentioned in just a moment. But I've hoped that you have enjoyed the first few months in your role here in the United Kingdom, and I look forward to very closely working alongside you. Now, I choose that word, alongside, quite deliberately, because our relationship will be what I would say is the newest strand of a tapestry that is linking the world's oldest democracy with the world's largest democracy. From Sir Thomas Roe standing before the Mughal Emperor Jahangir as King James I, as the first ambassador for King James I in 1614, through to the largest volunteer force in the Second World War, the Indian Army, fighting alongside Britain to defeat the Axis powers, something that we can never ever say enough in terms of thank you to the Indians that sacrificed so much that wasn't even their own country, but they did that because they cared, and that shows you the strength of that relationship. And together we are the co-inheritors of what I would say is a very long and shared relationship, a shared history, and the trustees of a friendship that has stood the test of time. And as I look forward, I believe that our countries, they stand on a firm foundation on which together we can also build a shared future. Now, as we've already just heard the High Commissioner point out from a recent study that was done, 842 Indian companies here in the UK, £48 billion of turnover, employing over 100,000 people and paying almost £700 million in corporation tax last year. Similarly, there's some 270 British companies that are currently operating in India, generating 1 in every 20 jobs in the organised private sector. And the UK, as we heard from Rami earlier, has been the largest G20 investor in India for over a decade. We also have a very long-running relationship in education. And High Commissioner, I'm pleased that you've highlighted that, because it's not least between our universities, which is demonstrated on the one hand by very strong research ties, but embodied by some of India's brightest and best young minds as they've come here to study. In fact, no fewer than 3 Indian Prime Ministers have studied at Oxford and Cambridge. And I'm optimistic in the years to come there'll be a 4th and a 5th and a 6th and so forth. because last year the number of Indian students choosing to come to the UK went up by 35%. That's the biggest annual increase we've seen in over a decade. And obviously I want to see much more, because I agree with every single word you said, High Commissioner, on the importance of education and those links. And it's not just India's students that recognise the opportunities that are on offer. The UK already issues more skilled worker visas to Indian nationals than to the rest of the world combined. Hear that? More skilled worker visas to Indian nationals than the rest of the world combined. Each one helping to strengthen what's the living bridge between our two countries, bringing us closer together and making both of our countries stronger. Now, of course, our links with India are not just historical, or economic or academic. We are also immensely proud, very, very proud of the wonderful British Indian diaspora and the contribution they have made for many, many decades and continue to make day in, day out to our wonderful country. You know, British Indians are the most industrious, the most accomplished, and the most selfless individuals in this country. And without the 60,000 British Indians that work in the NHS would collapse. 60,000 working in the NHS. Now, if you look around this room now, we are surrounded by success stories from every background and from every field. And if I just pick one, I'm just going to pick a random person. Right, random example. See where my finger stops. Dr. Rami Ranger. Right? Let me pick. This Dr. Rami Ranger. This is a man who started out earning 35p an hour working at KFC, and then he went on to start a business with just £2. And that business today that Rami runs is a business empire that is generating £150 million in turnover a year, doing business and exporting to countless countries. And as a result of this success, one of the things he's achieved, he's won an unprecedented 5 Queen's Awards for Enterprise. Rami is a son of India that has become a British treasure. Thank you, Rami. Now, as Britain looks outward to restore its place on the global stage as we leave the European Union and remain that global outward-looking country, you are the core part, are an absolutely core part of the country's offering. As we step back and we ask ourselves what kind of country we want to be, you are a key voice in that conversation. And ultimately, when the dust settles, you will have played a decisive part in our country's success. Thank you all very much, and thank you for inviting me tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not going to send Sajid too far. Can I please call upon Mrs. Sneh Sharma, Mrs. Pinky Pathak, and Mrs. Jaskiran Gidda to come to the stage so that they can do some bouquet presentations. Mrs. Sharma will be presenting the Home Secretary, the Right Honourable Sajid Javid, for his wife, Laura Javid, who unfortunately is not here with us this evening. Mrs. Pinky Pathak will be presenting to the Honourable Nusrat Ghani, Parliamentary Under Secretary for the Department of Transport. So Nuz, could we please have you at the front as well? And Mr. Jaskiran Gidda will be presenting the High Commissioner of India, Her Excellency Ruchi Ghanashyam. So could we please ask Ruchi ji to please come forward as well? So I will, if you bring it, if you come forward, we'll see this.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Very kind.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention for a short while longer? And can I please ask patron of the Conservative Friends of India, Mr. Anil Sharma, to come on stage to give the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The good thing is the last one, and then you can get to your dinner. So I have been given the job to say thank you. So first of all, Sajid, just to say thank you for the wonderful short time that you spent with us. We know you're going back, but thank you for spending the time, and thank you for all those initiatives that you're taking to help us out. I was advised very clearly by the Conservative Friends of India to say that we intend to foster bonds with the United Kingdom, with the Conservative Party, and with the Government of India. And all we can assure you that whatever you do, we are there to stand by you, with you, and for the country. So thank you for saying those words. So can we put your hands together for Sajid Javid? Thank you, Excellency High Commissioner Ruchi Ghanashyam. It was very impressive to know that we are the fourth largest investor in this country. There are so many students. Sajid said that Indian students put together are the highest than rest of the world, which is amazing. All that you said was very impressive. We take this opportunity to say thank you to you, and can we say thank you to the High Commissioners by putting your hands together. The Deputy High Commissioner is also here, so can we say thank you to him, and please put your hands together. We have a number of lords, ladies and MPs. I've been told it's short and quick, so can you all clap for them, those who are here. Lords, ladies and MPs. Patrons, and I want to say about 3 new patrons, and we need to welcome them. Ian Duncan Smith, Right Honourable. We have Right Honourable Ms. Ghani and Paul Scully. 3 new patrons. You spoke to us. I suppose you were superb. I suppose you need to clap 3 times. They were just superb. You need to say thank you to Taj. They haven't given the dinner as yet. So it's in anticipation of a good food. If they don't do it, we take it back. Lastly, I suppose it's very important to say thank you. It's not part of the Thanksgiving, but I want to do it. Behind every organization, there is an inspiration. There is somebody who motivates. And I suppose we are honored to have an outstanding individual, Dr. Rami Ranger, who takes us through. So we all say thank you to him. This evening wouldn't have been for what it is because of you. So can we say to all of you that can you clap for all of us here? So can we have good number of claps for everyone here? Thank you, and please have a great dinner.